Good morning, folks. This morning we're gonna do some monkeying around with our 6V92 here. We're gonna pop the valve covers and do a little inspection, pop the air cleaner, make sure that everything is looking good under there. I haven't done that since I bought it and moved it into the shed. So make sure we don't have any stuck injectors, anything like that. Try to see if we can diagnose where all our smoke is coming from when it's running. So we'll dive head first into this and see what we can learn. All right, so our first step here, if I can stay out of my light, is gonna be, I'm gonna pop the valve cover here on the driver's side, which is just these two little bolts, so we can take a look and see what's in there. I'm gonna try to leave the breather on if I can, because I'm guessing it's gonna be a bear to pull that hose off, and if I get it off, I might not get it back on. And for a little bit here, I'd like to have that ability. So I'm gonna try to figure out if this engine was a reman or something, because the truck is a 79 GMC General, and on this plate here, it says, so this well, it must have been a pulled motor from something. So it says it was installed on May 7th of 81, so 2 years after this thing was made, with 274,000 miles on it. And it's got a unit number and a location, which doesn't really help me, WMX, and then it's got a 71 further over. But, so I don't really know what that means, but obviously the motor that was in this thing must have had a bit of a malfunction, and they swapped this thing in, that's my best guess. But so yeah, that's something to learn. That's the only plate, I think, on this side. So as you can see, this pig she's greasy. That's kind of the Detroit calling card, it seems like. Now I believe you can make them not leak, but that was always the stigma around an old Jimmy, is, you know, it marks its territory everywhere it goes. And if it's not leaking, it doesn't have oil in it. So I should probably check, because I mean, this thing's not leaking much since it's been sitting here. I do have a piece of cardboard underneath, and there's a couple drips, but better make sure that there's some oil in it before we fire her up. So, but once I get this checked over, eventually here I'll get it out of the shed and take a couple gallons of degreaser and clean her up, because I don't think my wife will appreciate me coming in that dirty. So you can see there's some sort of sticker here on the breather. It's red and yellow, but I can't make out what it is, because it's under too much oil gunk residue. Looks like the valve cover here, most of the paint is off. A little bit of alpine green left on her, but not a whole heck of a lot. So I know I'm doing this the slow way with my hand wrench, but I have to go back to the garage and find a 3/8 12-point socket, because that's what's required to take these valve covers off. It's just these two bolts, these big rubber bushings that are supposed to seal it up. So, and that's all that holds them on. But I wish I had a parts washer right now. I'd clean this sucker up real nice and at least get the oil and I guess the proper term from a well-known Detroit mechanic is schmoo. Get the schmoo off of it. But I did a lot of watching of the old Two-Stroker YouTube page to prepare myself for this moment, and open her up and check out and make sure everything looks halfway decent in this thing. So I'm assuming that the engine, I mean, when it was running, it runs nice. So I'm assuming it's all good. But you know, this thing with the frame issues it's got in the back, I'm pretty sure that's why it was parked. It was parked in 2011, so or at least that's the last time it was registered. So I'm assuming that's why. Okay, let's see here. she's a little grungy, but not bad. So you got your rocker assembly here. The middle one, that's what runs your injectors. You got your fuel lines. You got your in and your return, and then you got your rack. Your rack is connected to your throttle here, and that's what moves your injectors. And they all move pretty freely at that, so that's good. I really just wanted to make sure that we didn't have a stuck injector. I mean, I think that would have been apparent when we fired her up, but I just wanted to make sure. I'll have to get some new valve cover gaskets for this thing. I don't have any right now, but not terribly worried about it either. Although, hopefully I didn't mess that one up. Let's see. So rack moves good. Hopefully you guys can see that pretty decent. Kind of stinks, but it's been sitting on the field for a long time. Maybe get the vacuum out and vacuum it out before I put that valve cover back on. Somewhere on here, there's supposed to be a number for what the injector is. I don't know. Aha! 9290 Detroit diesel. 9290. Wonder why the middle one's yellow and the other ones are blue. Alright. Oh, there. That answered that question. That's good. Sweet. Well, that puts my mind at ease for this side. We'll have to check the other bank, and I'll get this baby covered back up, and we'll be okay for this side. All right, just for grins, we pulled off the intake elbow and made sure the turbo wasn't about to fly apart on us. It's a little dirtier than I was expecting, but it doesn't look wet in there. One of my concerns was maybe that it was feeding oil in on the intake side, but I don't think that's the issue. And I kind of pulled on the end of the shaft a little bit, and it doesn't really move, so it's not like we have a bunch of run out or anything like that. It all seems pretty tight in there, so yeah, I just figured we'd pull that off and take a gander, make sure everything was A-okay, but we'll get that put back on, I guess. All right, so I pulled the exhaust off the turbo. That is a little grimy, but that might just be because it's, like it could be leaking through from somewhere else. Hopefully it's not like a blower seal or something. That'd be unfortunate, but we're gonna pop this other valve cover, and nothing but in the way to do this. So the other thing that it could be where my smoke and oil is coming from is it could just be slobbering because it was last on the road 14 years ago and probably hasn't driven much since. So it could just need to be ran hard and put away wet to clean it up. There could be maybe a ring that's stuck that I understand could be an issue too. So I guess I can't rule out any of it at this point. So, but that could come unstuck with a little help from a good heat cycle. So I've got ambitious goals. I don't know how realistic they are. The weather is actually fantastic this weekend. Warm enough I could start this thing up if I could figure out my air troubles, which is a long shot. I could potentially take this thing out, give it a little beat run to get her up to temp and see what we could do with it. I'm not gonna make any guarantees on that though. Like I said, this might be that might be ambitious, because I gotta get coolant. I don't know how much coolant is in it, but I can tell you it's definitely not enough. And the couple, I don't know, a gallon and a half I poured in sounded like she went pretty far down in the radiator, so we might have some sort of something to contend with there. The good news is, I guess, is that I don't believe there's any coolant in the oil, so I shouldn't have to contend with that per se. Doesn't mean the radiator's not pooched or something else hanging out there waiting to come and blindside me with a roundhouse, but it's just right in the way. I should let the bullet pull the breather off. But we're gonna see here, because what I'd like to do before I before I get too carried away and that would be good to do with the bolts still on, but wasn't there. What I'd really like to do with this thing is take it and run it down the road. Obviously the frame's bad, but I'd just like to see how it runs, how it drives. I mean, I know the clutch feels really good. From what I can tell, it's just pretty nice. But I'd just like to see how it runs, how it drives, kind of what it can do, you know, as far as like a highway speed is concerned. Because I am, you know, when this thing is built, I do plan on taking it out and around, you know, to shows and everything. And if it only does 60 miles an hour because of the deep reduction transmission, that's gonna be a problem. But so just be nice to know before you build it and go through and clean everything up that, hey, you know, you gotta re-gear or swapping a different trans and get rid of the deep reduction 8LL. Of course, this side would be troublesome here. Let's see. Wow, they did not do me any favors. Whoever worked on this list. All right, there we go. Hopefully, I didn't get too much stuff. I blew it all out before I got into before I pulled the valve cover. So, oh yeah, they're all free. We look good. We're rolling. Everything's moving. A little grimy, a little loose. But yeah, so no, that looks good. I'm happy with that. Oh, I'm all dirty already. It's a little early for that. So, I guess next I'll put the valve cover back on. I'll cap up the exhaust. Eventually here I'm gonna run to town, see if I can get probably a couple buckets of antifreeze. At some point when I do go to town, and then see if I can pull off the positive side of the air compressor, or the charge side of the air compressor, and pump some air in to see if I've got a leak, or what kind of troubleshooting I can do on that to figure out why my air system is not building air, because that's it turns out that's an important part of being able to go for a ride, is being able to take your brakes off. Yeah. All right. Cool, and so this thing, I was really pleased that we're already, it must be new enough, or I shouldn't say it must be, it is new enough, that it's got all the spin-on filters already, so no canisters, no old cartridge style stuff here. So that's cool. That's good. That bracket is just right in my way. Here, try not to. Eventually, when this cab is off of here, all the wiring and all that happy stuff is going to be rerouted, or not rerouted, but routed properly. I guess I should. That's probably the better term for that, because right now it is definitely not where it was intended, because somebody took it, must have been doing something on this thing and decided not to put any of the clamps back, because why would we do that? That would take an extra 2 minutes and make it easier for the next guy that decides to do something silly and buy an old truck that's been off the road for too long to made it together with another old truck that's been off the road for too long. And yeah, I did get some pictures of the accessory plate, data plate, if you will. I'll lose my wrench down in in the wiper cowl here, but so that's cool that that was actually intact and in really good shape. I did look at the mileage on this thing, and according to the odometer, it says 600,000 miles, which, being that it's a a farm truck, a grain truck, I'm guessing it is actually 600,000, not like 1.6 million. Looking at the wear on the pedals and everything else, I'm fairly confident that it's only 600,000, which, I mean, that's enough. But I mean, these trucks were made to work back in the day, and that's what they were used for. Being that this was a grain hauler, I mean, it's probably seasonal work, getting seed and getting grain, maybe storing it in the bin until the price went up, hauling it all winter. That's kind of what they used to do. So I would guess it's accurate at that. So, but next we're gonna open up the air filter canister here after I get this back together, because should probably make sure that that's not all blocked up. So now, most of the stuff, the exhaust and all of that, I'm not, I'm just trying to make sure everything is, at this point, is mechanically sound enough so that we can go for a little rip up and down the road. Because like I said, obviously the frame needs attention, but I would rather take apart a truck that is capable of running and driving than take apart a truck that's not running and driving and then start making things nice only to find out that there's other issues. I'll do things like Twin Sticks Garage, where I'll do it kind of his style of backwards, where I'll probably put all the nice stuff on before I paint it, so all the holes are drilled and I can make sure it's filled and marked up the way it is, and then undo it all so I can take it back apart and paint it and all that stuff. But I'd rather just be bolting stuff on when it's all said and done than be doing a deep dive into it and having to worry about scratching paint or getting grease and oil everywhere, all that stuff. So that's the theory behind what we're trying to accomplish here. Obviously, there's a lot of good stuff that goes along with that. So it's not an undertaking for the faint of heart here. But we're crazy. We'll do it. Why not? So screwdriver. We'll get this breather hose tightened on. We'll get our exhaust back up in place. And earlier clip I said, not a lot of run out on the turbo. I meant to end play. Definitely a difference. It's a little early yet. Haven't quite got my head in the game here, so I'm a slacker. What can I say? All right, so we've got the valve cover tightened down. That's all back to where it was. A matter of doing our exhaust, which I was just happy it didn't fall apart. The flex line, well, it doesn't look that old, so that might have been replaced in the last 20 years. There we go. And get that thing wrenched on there. I don't remember if I talked about it in the intro video, but this truck does have power assist steering and all that good stuff. So it does turn with one finger. I think the ram on the driver's side might need to be refinished or resealed, I should say. Got some issues there, or a little bit of seepage, but not the end of the world, not a deal breaker. We'll make her nice. So yeah, this I'm gonna check the air filter here, make sure that that's not, doesn't have a bird's nest or a mouse nest or something crazy, and then just for my own personal satisfaction, because either way, whether this thing's gonna move or not, I'm gonna get it ready to start up. So just for grins, and because, well, we don't necessarily believe in mufflers around here, and we'll take the muffler off and turn this thing into a straight pipe, because when it was running, I just couldn't really hear the old Detroit sing. So, and gotta see how annoying it is, so that I know if when I do build it, if we're gonna go the muffler route or not. I'm leaning towards not. I gotta see what size stacks, because it's gonna be twin stacks, obviously, because I'm a big symmetry guy. I just gotta see what size pipe is gonna be good for the, and match not like overpower the little cab of the swing fender body, because it is, I think like 8-inch stacks are way too big for something like that. So I'm leaning on like 6 or 7-inch exhaust stacks that'll put up nice and tall, so that whatever vehicle's on the back isn't getting Detroit residue on it. But so yeah, we're a little ways from being concerned about what our stacks are gonna look like, though. We got a few things to do before we get there. So yeah, now we'll move on. Next task at hand. All right, so I'm assuming to take this thing apart, I gotta take off all these little nuts. 1/2-inch nuts here, and then this whole lid should come off. But I did upgrade to a ratchet because, well, I had a 1/2-inch socket, so or at least it was at my disposal and ready to go. This thing is just tall enough that I didn't drag the ladder over. Probably should have. So instead, I'm risking my life balancing between the sketchy shelves and the farmer fixed wooden step here on the fuel tank. I'll show you that. I'll show you that later here, but I'll just be quiet and time lapse this thing here so we can speed her up. That's it's better than I was expecting. The top of our canister's a little worse for wear, but I mean, I guess we're not reusing it. Yeah, air filter actually looks damn good. So I can't complain about that. Still happy we checked, but I can't complain. So now, just because we're gonna take her for a hot lap here eventually, I'm gonna put all the nuts back on. Snug them down. Get them back in there. So we'll go back to time lapse. All right, air cleaner's back together. Next up, straight pipe.